just had the chance to hear from Christian about what's been going on with Chelsea and how he feels about being back with the group. And I was curious from your perspective, how much does what's going on at a player's club, in the weeks leading into his call up, and specifically with Christian, how much do you find that can impact a player's confidence, his approach, his sharpness, and as a result, how much does what's going on at his club kind of influence the way you and your staff change what you may ask of them during camp and leading into the matches?
Thanks, Brian. Before we start, I just want to give a quick message to tell you guys that our thoughts and prayers are with Ivis. Obviously, he's in the hospital, and we're all behind him, sending out a lot of well wishes from U.S. Soccer. So I know he's a colleague of yours, and sometimes when we talk, we get to see all the different personalities and get to know people personally, and just want to say that he's in our thoughts and prayers. Regarding the question, there's always, ideally you'd want every player to come into camp in top form, right? And it's not always possible though. And these are things, that we do take into consideration and we are thinking about. What I would say is we also want to create the type of environment here that the players enjoy coming into. And, sometimes this can almost be like a kickstart for the player. And, it is the case with Christian on this trip. We're so excited to have him in camp. It's been since October of 2019, and to get him back on the field playing with us is a great step forward. And I know he has the resiliency to keep going, and I know it's a matter of time before he breaks through. He's a fantastic player, and his qualities will show through as they did the last game in the FA Cup that we saw. Thanks, Brian. Can we get on gallery view here? Is there a gallery view? I'm sorry. Yeah, thanks. There we go. Much better.
Now you can see everybody?
Yeah. I was flying blind there for a bit, guys. I'm not going to lie.
Steven, go ahead.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for your time. What have been your impressions of Daryl DK in England the last couple months, and how has his ascent impacted your view of your core of forwards heading into the important months coming up?
I think, first of all, it's been great watching Daryl, see him competing in the championship and making impact for his team, and his team climbing up the table, making their way into a playoff spot has been great to see. So we've really enjoyed that. The thing though is it needs to be consistent. It needs to be sustainable. So Daryl needs to continue on with his form, continue to push forward. He's a guy that we really enjoyed working with. We see a lot of potential in him, and it's just continuing to progress for him. I think as far as we're concerned, he's still working into the way we want to play, working the way we want to press our offensive game, but we're confident that he's going to get there, and pleased with his progress so far.
Next will be Jeff Carlisle from ESPN FC.
Thanks, Michael. Hi, Greg.
Hey, Jeff.
Continuing with the Daryl DK questions, in what ways does he offer something that's maybe a little bit different than some of the other forwards in the
pool? That's a good question. When I think about the forwards and their skill sets, I think, Daryl, he's still defining who he is as a player. You see some really good actions back to goal, in and around the penalty box, really good strength, holding players off. Still needs to continue to work on his movement in the penalty box, movement behind the back line. I think sometimes when we're asking him to come down and link up play, it's a little bit different than our other guys. But, I think in the end, we really, we think about forwards and we judge forwards for how they're putting the ball in the back of the net. In our system, forwards are relied on to score goals. And you think about, it's most of the time the case where the forwards are getting goals in our system. So it's going to be important, when he's on the field to take advantage of his opportunities by scoring.
Next will be Ron Blum from the Associated Press.
Hey, Greg. When you look at Christian in the various places he can play on the field, what do you see as the pluses of each of the different areas? And how does the rest of your player pool and their qualities impact the decisions by you on where you want to use them each game?
So, one thing that I know about Christian is very, very good 1v1. He's good receiving between lines. He's good attacking the defense. And, that's what we want to do, is put him in position to do that. And, we may play a different formation next game to see if we can get him in some of those positions. But we also feel like in a normal 4-3-3 that we've been playing, that he's able to get in those positions as well. So I think when you have a talent like Christian, part of it is the team adapting to him and finding ways to put him in position to unbalance the defense, because he does that so well.
Next will be Paul Tenorio from The Athletic.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Greg. Earlier, Christian was asked about the potential of playing in the Olympics. Yunus Musa as well both said that they would be interested in playing. I know we've asked a lot about how you strike a balance and maybe saving players' legs as much as you can for the fall and trying to find that right mix. But there's also that side of the potential to compete for an Olympic medal with a group that's made up of mostly under 23-year-old players. Do you factor that in, that idea of what it could mean for the U.S. program if you do qualify to send the full-strength squad, the best squad over for the games?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is we're not there yet, so we don't want to get our head of ourselves. And I know you said that, so I appreciate that. I don't want to jinx anything, Paul. But the other side of it is, I'm not the one to answer that question. The one to answer that question are the players' clubs, right? Because, we have to sit and have conversations with these clubs, and we have to say, okay, guys, here's what's coming up in the calendar. You have Nations League, you have Gold Cup, you have Olympics, you have World Cup qualifying in 3 windows in the fall, and then 2022 you have January and March. So what do you think, guys? You want to release your players for the Olympics? And what are they going to say, right? I mean, it's an uphill battle that we're fighting. Paul, if we're in a perfect world, there would nothing more I'd like to see than our best group compete in the Olympics. It would be amazing. I'm just not sure that's going to happen. I'm not sure that the clubs are going to allow the players to go.
Next will be Franco Panizo from SBI Soccer.
Thanks, Michael, and thank you, Greg, for the well wishes to Ibis. I'll relay the message. Just wanted to ask you quickly about tomorrow's game. Obviously, playing Jamaica, familiar foe. What kind of match do you expect from them this go around, and what do you want to see from the team, given that, like you've mentioned before, you have Christian back with the group, you have Yunus who's still trying to find his way with the team, so all these different factors ahead of very important games. So what are you looking for from your side tactically in tomorrow's report?
Yeah, so a familiar opponent in Jamaica, but different personnel. They've reloaded with a number of players from England. We really like their squad. We think they have some good quality. A bunch of them play with the guys from our team. We think of Jamal Lowe from Swansea. Liam Moore played with Matt Miazga at Reading. Michael Hector plays with Tim Ream. Andy Gray at Watford. They have a good team, and we're excited about. What we're looking for is to push the tempo, and that's what's really important for us. Is to how can we get out and make a fast tempo game and put them on their heels? That's what I'm going to be looking for. We know a lot of their players are used to a high tempo in the championship, so it's a great challenge for us, and really excited to see how it turns out.
Next will be Ryan Sheretta from American Soccer Now.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Greg. I want to ask you about Jordan Sibachu. He scored something like 14 goals all since late December, so he's been in great form. How long have you been tracking him? How do you think he's been doing with his club, and what's impressed you? And discuss your conversations with him to bring him into camp, and then and how has his camp been so far? Thank you.
So I originally he got on my radar on my first trip in December 2018 when I went over to Europe. I actually watched him play live. And I got in contact with him then, and we've been talking on and off since then. And it's been great to follow him. You want, I don't know him that well, obviously, right? I don't have a long-term relationship with him, but you still want the best for each player, and to see him struggle a little bit in France and then go to Switzerland, and now the goal rate that he's scoring, it's really great to see. And with speaking with him, he's a great guy, fits well into the group. And I'm hopeful that he'll get on the field this week and be able to show what he can do, because I think he's a good talent, and he's found a good level now where he can score goals.
Next will be Sam Stechko from The Athletic.
Thanks, Michael. Thank you, Greg. Hope you're doing well. Continuing the Olympic theme, I'm curious what your thoughts are about the performance of that group through the first two matches, without getting too far ahead of ourselves. Obviously, they have a couple more big ones to go.
Yeah, the thing is that I can say this because I'm not there and I'm not part of the coaching staff, and I think it should be said, is that if you think about guys that have been off for how many months and then going to play in altitude and heat and expect to compete at that level, it's challenging. It really is. And I mean, that's the starting point. Like the first game, I think it took courage, and it took a lot of determination. And I think if we were more fit and we weren't at altitude and it wasn't that hot, we would present in a different way. And I know the team has the quality to do that. It was just a really difficult game. You saw the guys got leggy. They lost the fitness. They lost the ability to press. But when they were doing that, it was good. And the second game I liked. And the reason why I liked it is because it didn't come easy. It was something they had to work for. They had to really think about, at halftime, the result of that game. And I think that was important. They were comfortable in the game, but they weren't scoring. And for them, I think they get a lot of confidence with knowing that they can wear down an opponent. And some of the stuff we've been seeing has been pretty good. There's some details that they can obviously be fixed, but overall they're doing just fine. And I'm excited for the next two games and pulling for them, and hoping that we qualify for the Olympics.
Next we'll go to Michele Giannone from Univision.
Thank you, Michael. Hi, Coach. How are you?
How are you?
Good, thank you. You mentioned possibility of a different formation. We're hearing yesterday Serginho and how he's thriving now in the new tactical formation from Barcelona, playing as a right midfielder, basically. What can we expect from you and these different formations as the player pool and the talent pool expand?
Well, you think also about Christian, at Chelsea, and they're playing a 3-4-2-1. Serginho at Barcelona is playing 5 in the back, and so you could imagine, giving that a go. We have a ton of center backs in camp. We don't have a natural number 6. So, when I'm thinking about the Northern Ireland game, I can see that on the horizon. The one thing I don't love is the fact that they could also be playing with 5 in the back, and I don't really love that, that matchup when you match up like for like with a 5 in the back formation, but we'll see. There's no harm in experimenting with it, because when you see Serginho's level of performance, you want him to perform at that level with us as well.
Next we'll go to Gustavo Lopez.
Hi, Coach. Policy talked earlier about his roles in the Chelsea. Sometimes inside the field, sometimes as a winger, sometimes as striker. He comes off the bench, and when he goes to the national team, it's a different situation. He's more like a leader technically. How do you prepare a player like that who plays in different roles in totally different situations?
I think it's good. I think as long as he has the rhythm and as long as he has the instruction and he's told what his role is and it's clear, I'm all for it. If you can increase the skill set of a guy and his understanding of different positions on the field, and he can still be effective and perform, I think that's great. All I think that gives him is versatility. And we see him as a guy that can really unbalance the defense, and we want to put him in positions to do it. So if we did play a 3-4-2-1 and he was an attacking midfielder, I think it would line up with the expectations of getting him the ball between the lines. and at times combining centrally, and at times running behind the back line. So, I think that it's all possible, and him playing different position will only help him as a player.
Next we'll go to Juan Carlos. Juan Carlos, could you pronounce your last name for me?
Meigua.
Thanks, Juan Carlos. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Coach. I would like to ask you, well, this question was asked already, but maybe this upcoming two friendlies, like determining at least, maybe help you determine the senior squad for at least the Gold Cup and the World Cup qualifiers?
No, I don't see it like that, Juan. And the reason why is because, I don't think it's going to be realistic that the Gold Cup squad will be made up of the majority of European players. I don't think we can ask them to be playing all year now, to come into Nations League, play the Nations League, and then go to the Gold Cup and miss preseason with their clubs and everything. So I think the makeup of the group will be a mix. And hopefully we'll get to really know that player pool of 40 players or 35 players, and really get some good work in before World Cup qualifiers.
And our last question goes to Donald Wine from Stars and Stripes FC.
Thank you. Hi, Greg. Last week when we talked to you, you just released the roster, and you had 7 players who were going to be departing after this game tomorrow against Jamaica. Now, fast forward, you have more options to take to Northern Ireland. How does that help affect your approach to that game? And also, just how does it affect you when you're able to have more options to rotate? Thank you.
Well, I think so. Now 3 players are going to be departing after this game, and it's better than 7. But it's there's complications to both of them. I think we picked the roster based on guys leaving, and then they can stay. So there's complications with it. But again, this is what everyone's dealing with right now, and it is what it is, and we'll get through it. If anything, what it does is gives us a little bit of flexibility in the next game. We're a little bit light on wingers this trip, but nonetheless, we'll figure out a lineup that that can compete against Northern Ireland on Sunday.